I currently question the connection between Richard Allen and the Kleins to the Anthony Shots profiles. If Richard Allen was using any of the Anthony Shots profiles which had unique IDs, IP addresses and phone location information linked to those profiles via the apps and social media profiles, then it shouldn't have been too difficult to find him. If he used a VPN, he may have either used a private or commercial VPN. I think most VPN companies working within the United States who keep connection login and traffic data would comply to a court order to allow law enforcement to see all the connection logs. Some VPN companies have a strict no-log policy. I think he could be found through other means if that's the case, like from metadata information, email information, internet provider and phone location data. I think Richard Allen would have to be very methodical and precise not to be caught through using the Anthony Shots profiles if law enforcement with the Cybercrime Task Force were competent and thoroughly investigated the digital forensics. Let's say Richard Allen knew Keegan Kline in real life and used the iPhone 5C, which Keegan Kline erased supposedly around the time his home was searched on February 25, 2017 by the FBI. He'd have to use that phone to communicate with Liberty German, then hand it back to Keegan Kline to give to law enforcement. Or maybe he used a burner phone to communicate with Keegan Kline calling the iPhone 5C. This is where it becomes overly complicated and illogical in my opinion. I think Apple, for instance, were harder to bargain with in regards to releasing phone data back in 2017, and it was notable from the San Bernardino shooting just a year prior to the Delphi murders case. I think if Indiana State Police knew Richard Allen was talking to Liberty German through the Anthony Shots profiles, then the digital forensic evidence should have proved that to be the case. I think they would have had a good enough reason to search his property back in 2017. Richard Allen supposedly came forward as a witness and claimed he was at the trails the day the girls were murdered, according to a news media report. He told a conservation officer supposedly. The timing is unknown as to when the police found out about this information. Was it from 2017 and they just found out recently going over old files? Richard Allen's parents know Tony's first wife's parents, so there's a loose connection, and it still isn't that particularly suspicious considering it's small town USA and all. Who knows if a wacky snuff film Vegas theory is correct? I don't think it's based in good logic if you analyze the technical aspects of this case that the public knows. I think the Vegas theory is too far-fetched, and it's less likely than something like the movie 8mm starring Nicolas Cage. Some people take the officer interview transcript from 2020 as 100% fact. The officers can also lie in interviews, and the interview seemed like it wasn't conducted professionally. Keegan did not have a lawyer present or over the phone. It also could be argued he could have cloned a phone with the Anthony Shots information on or not signed into a Dropbox account. Also, Snapchat didn't have the tracking feature back in February 2017. I think it becomes too complicated at this point to make any sense. Unless there's more data from close to when Libby reset her phone that she was communicating with Richard Allen, then I'm not sure I believe the catfish theory. Emily Ann 45, Hannah Estelle, Eleanor 18, etc. are not Richard Allen. The child sex abuse material predators in the officer interview transcript. If the Cybercrime Task Force couldn't figure out the Emily Ann 45 profile was Richard Allen, then they should quit their day jobs. I don't think Richard is a very smart person based on his letter, and I don't think he has adept skills in cybersecurity. I also question the source in regards to the information about the Wabash River search in Peru, Indiana. I'm also skeptical and not confident in how the mainstream media analyze and handle information given to them in 2022. The MSM said Ron Logan died in 2020, which is not true. Court TV basically stated Ron Logan was the killer based on a padded search warrant affidavit from March 2017, which didn't amount to Ron Logan's arrest. There's no proof currently if Keegan Kline took a plea deal, or a deal which gives him some kind of immunity or would let him have more of his CSAM charges dropped. Doug Carter told a news journalist that the Wabash River search was not connected to the 5 child sex abuse material charges which were dropped against Keegan Kline. He also stated we'll find out soon as to how the Wabash River search was connected to the Delphi investigation. It was likely his 5 child sex abuse material charges were dropped because of insufficient evidence. It's possible Allen could have used an alias, catfish, type of profile if he communicated with Libby and/or Abby through social media and perhaps encrypted chat applications which slipped through the gaps in their investigation. Doug Carter mentioned on a radio show interview there's been many tentacles to this case and it's been a complex investigation. He also alluded someone's source as not being privy to the investigative team's information. Could tentacles mean many other individuals, connections and/or directions which the investigation went down? It could simply be clever wordplay and people are overanalyzing Doug's words due to the rampant speculation and rumor which has surrounded this case. Currently at this point I'm tired of this case and most of the information in regards to Delphi online on Reddit, YouTube and Facebook has been rumor, speculation on breadcrumb information, misinformation and disinformation. Hopefully if the probable cause affidavit is released it doesn't leave too many questions unanswered and isn't problematic for the case against Allen.